Hey guys, how you doing? Bear with my quiet voice here. It's a little late at my house. I just want to take some time to kind of walk you through what I've created here on Google Sheets and really just to show you what's possible with this technology. So pretty much what I've created is a personal slash healthcare calculator. I'm going to just walk through the sheet, kind of show you the scope of everything first. So you can see there's all the nutrients and vitamins, minerals, all that jazz. And then here you have all the percentages of everything in terms of your intake. Then you calculate in terms of maybe what your type of food is that you're eating. You can even break it down to a monthly cost, the amount you've eaten, and then the nutrients that follow with those selected options. And then it totals it down at the bottom here. Oh, if I can scroll, totals it down to the bottom, and then gives you a percentage based off of your recommended daily allowance or your upper intake levels in terms of what quote unquote is like safe or what you should be consuming. So yeah, so that's kind of that. I also have some other ones here as far as like my kind of minimalistic clothing, like to keep it simple, keep a budget. Here I'm quite into fitness, so I might create some sort of body weight, water content calculator. Taking care of your skin, that's important. Yep, back end calculations, I'll go through that. And then, if you want to total up as far as your monthly and also yearly, maybe calorie and nutrient intake. So yeah, I'm gonna go to the front page here and start walking you through what I got. So you can see in a lot of these columns, these were just notes I was taking on kind of nutrition and what all these things mean, just to keep everything straight. So starting off, we have the weight, height, age, and years, and that's for whatever person's gonna be calculated. In this case, it's me. So these are all my things. And then here you can see daily life activity. So I kind of have moderate activity, and moderate would be like working out, exercise 3 days a week, staying fit, staying active, so to say. So that's that. And then from if I can click buttons, let's see, from these guys here, you can calculate your basal metabolic rate, or BMR, and that's based off the Harris-Benedict formula, and that will give you pretty much your needed calories for a day if you literally just sat there and like breathed, like not doing anything. And then based off what your daily life activity is like, your total daily energy expenditure, so you'll multiply your BMR by whichever ratio, which in my case was moderate. So that's what I consume in calories that day or during that kind of day. And then you can also input your goals. So like, if you're maintaining, if you're building or losing, my goal is to build. So it might be overkill. I've just put 500 extra. So you can see my total caloric intake is about 3,300 or whatnot. So based off that, I've kind of given a couple of ratios on proteins, fats, and carbs, your macronutrients, and that gives you kind of your ratios, grams per pound. So most dietitians or nutritionists say 0.8 grams per pound for protein is where you're at. I just put it at 20%. So yep, and then scrolling down here, we have all macronutrients. So these are mainly just notes on everything, so you can see where I got that information, different notes on kind of what I was seeing online about it, and kind of put my best judgment into it. So you can see maybe the top sources for these different macronutrients, what the function is, units, recommended daily allowances, upper intake limits, and then for macronutrients here, or excuse me, micronutrients, you can see the yellow are your fat-soluble vitamins, and then these blue ones are your water-soluble vitamins. So recommended daily allowances, upper limits, units, function, where you can get them from, the same kind of thing. Then scrolling down, if you wanted to include, certain fastings, like fasting or carb cycling schedule, you can kind of, I haven't dealt with it a ton, but you could definitely implement it if you wanted to, in terms of the calculation. This is just a note I had. I use use rice cooker. It's great for cooking a lot of things. It's very low maintenance, not a lot of time spent cooking. So down here, this is where kind of things start to get exciting. So essentially what I've done is I've broken down all the nutrients in order here in a specific way so that if in the back end here, if you look here, what I've done is I've taken the import HTML function, and I take this URL from the USDA.gov, which is a great resource for if you want to find kind of nutrients or vitamins, how much protein's in this chicken or whatnot. You can find it there if you just search on their engine. So so I take this URL for whatever food I'm doing. In this case, typing things in. In this case, it was egg. Whole raw fresh egg. So I found that URL, and then I want to take that first table that has all the information, table 1, and then I transpose the data so it goes horizontally. It kind of takes up less space, and then that gives you kind of a chunk here of data. And then this unique column here, I'll explain in a second, when I go back to the first page, so you can see that each different section for whatever food group or food item you have is there. Oh, gotta fix kale. I'll do that later. So going back to the diet here, so pretty much what happens here is as soon as you take the URL and post it back here, it will upload that data, and this column adds those two columns together, and it gives you a unique value. And the purpose of that is so when you see here, it's this value per 100 grams, that's a unique value just to the egg. So if you go back here, that allows VLOOKUP, which is kind of a tricky formula sometimes, to read the serving size for 100 grams, which I just use as a kind of what do you call it? Not a variable, but a static kind of control. So what it does here, essentially, this function, what that does is it starts at the top here, and it says, okay, where's old egg whole raw fresh? Okay, here it is, and now we're gonna go 5 rows down. Here's value per 100 grams, and then it reads those according values down the row, and then it takes that and it puts it right here. So you see, if I delete this, it will also delete that data. So yeah, so that took a while to figure it out. But I'm pretty happy with it, how it works. So that gives you that. So you can pretty much upload. So all you have to do is make a new row. You go to that USDA website, and then you type in whatever food you want. So that's that. I have different categories, like simple food is just like one item, one simple food. This is maybe like combinations, so like I eat Chipotle, and that's a pretty effective way to get nutrients at a reasonable cost because it allows you to scale like rice, beans, whatnot for free pretty much. I work at a sushi restaurant, so eat some sushi, fried rice, can't go wrong with that. Different spices, oils, whatnot. Supplements. So if you have protein, you can put your protein in here. Vitamins, calculate your vitamin intake. So that's this sheet here. If you're going to the second one, this is where you plug in everything. This is where all the hard work pays off, and then it tells you where you're at for the day or month or whatever. So pretty much how this works is for this day, based off what you set on the first sheet here, it will tell you what you're allowed for that daily consumption of your macros, and then you start typing in all of your food that you've eaten for the day, and it will calculate your intake, and then it'll give you what you actually ate and give you that graph, and then you can see it's 79% of what you were supposed to take for the day. So you see 132 grams, 168, and then it'll give you an overall percentage of your calories that you should have ate. So I was at about 89%. I'm kind of just building a new diet plan here, trying to get some more omegas in there. So yeah, so that's that. You know, you can see how much sugar you're consuming, try to keep that down low. Cholesterol as well, although cholesterol can be good for you. I just have to do some more research on it first. So yeah, so here you'll see how much of the certain micronutrients you've had, and then I'll tell you green is like you've had enough, red is you need some more, you know, green or like white is in between. Here is like, okay, on sodium, magnesium, and vitamin B3, I'm kind of getting up there, so I need to watch my intake on that. Okay, so down here, how this works, I'll just give you an example. So this column here is data, it's a data validation for the back end here, and pretty much you pick different categories. So you have food supplements, proteins, multivitamins, and then you have so yeah, supplements goes here, protein, multivitamins, foods go here, simple, compound, spice, oil. So you can see how that works out here. If I click food, this one will allow me to go here. If I were to click supplements here, then it would change to proteins or multivitamins. So let's say we're doing, let's say we're eating broccoli. Broccoli's pretty great for you. So we'll do broccoli. Excuse me. Let's say, so this here, I'm going to skip this for a second. This is the calculate cost. Let's say, okay, so another thing to explain. So you clicked foods, simple. Let's see, I'm going to plug in my computer, make sure it has enough battery for this video. Okay, so foods, simple foods, broccoli. Now what this amount per day column does is it takes the chunk here that you've inputted from that website, and it will go down past value per 100 grams, and it reads all of these different measurements that you could have for an egg. So like a large egg, a small egg, blah, blah, blah. And then let's say for broccoli, you ate a cup of broccoli, right? So you ate a cup of broccoli, chopped, and then this long function here, which also took a long time to figure out, will read this cell and it will give you the number that's in that cell, which just saves some time. You know, it's trying to automate it more for you. So that's that. Let me go back. So, you know, but the only thing I have to figure out is this, like, you didn't eat 531 grams of broccoli, you ate 31. So how do you read the last number? That's something I'll have to figure out. And then if you had like 2 cups of chopped broccoli, or maybe a half cup of chopped broccoli, you can see it's a ratio. So 45 divided by 100, so 45.5% of your serving size, and then it'll calculate the difference there, and it'll take that what you've excuse me, my voice. It will take your ratio here, and it'll add all those up at the bottom and give you your total, and that's where you calculate up here your recommended daily allowance. So yeah, that's kind of how that works. And here, this is something I'm still working on. My ultimate goal is to build, you know, kind of all these calculators, whether it's personal health care, it could be your clothing, it could be your transportation costs or car maintenance, repairs, tires, all that jazz. It could be, yeah, really anything that would go in your budget, you know, house expenses, whatnot, and, you know, ultimately it's kind of to optimize your personal budget in terms of what's optimal for you. So your optimal diet, your optimal skincare, whatever it may be, and create this perfect, nothing's perfect, but, you know, create an optimal kind of calculation of what works for you at, you know, very effectively. So yeah, so that's kind of what I've done here. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. This is just something I enjoy doing in my free time, you know, learning how to build these spreadsheets, and also learning about, you know, whether it's healthcare, kind of whatever industry it may be. You know, you've heard the saying, kind of knowledge is power. So what you want to be good at, you got to study is kind of my philosophy. So yeah, if you have any specific questions of what you saw here, or you want to see something else that I kind of mentioned, definitely let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe. That is definitely appreciated. And you have a great day, night, morning, weekend, weekday, wherever you're at. And I will talk to you later. Thanks, guys.